Okay, so
Alright,
do you want to take us in? Do you want to introduce us?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Rebekah. What the fuck are we doing?
Put a little steak on it. Come on.
Tell me what to do. I'm a real mom.
Oh, you know of.
Oh, weird.
What's that?
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it is. Now you
Terrible,
know my pain.
terrible things are coming to light.
Hi,
Anyway.
everybody.
Hello.
It's been a hot minute.
Oh God, it sure has.
Well, people,
Yeah?
we like you. I mean, you're okay,
Yeah, you're right.
but
I've grown fond of you.
but it's Matt and Rebekah.
Hey. We're trying to record something because we physically do not have the time to meet each other in person.
Yeah, there's a wall between me and Round Rock.
Yeah.
And that wall is called fucking deadlines. And
Yep.
yeah. And you've been real busy with work.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Just work and other just random obligations. Yeah, it's great. Adult life.
It's it's a bane of my existence. It's the reason I drink.
Mm-hmm. He's fine.
No.
Matt's fine.
I think we've established that I am pretty fucking far from fine.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna so we're just doing a podcast.
Yeah, basically, just kind of a little mini episode in the interim of us doing what we're supposed to be doing on this goddamn channel.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, even as we're talking, I'm coloring a print for G-Fest because I am in full-blown panic mode right now.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's my life.
Cool.
How about you? How's about you?
Busy working.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of got a promotion. That's nice.
Hey, is that what you've been working towards or been working on?
I mean, I wasn't really working towards it; just kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know.
Just one day they're like, hey, you want some money? You want some money? Well, I'm just. I know this isn't really the way your job operates, but I did have this image in my head of like.
I don't think that's how any job operates.
You're going to you don't. Shit, I gotta reevaluate my life.
Oh Jesus.
Who have I been working for?
I don't know.
No, but I'm just imagining like how capitalists must amuse themselves. And it's wait, this is a bit from The Simpsons. Never mind.
Good job. Good job.
Well, I was just thinking of like that's what Mr. Burns did. He would just have $1 on a fishing line, and just like. And Lisa or somebody would be like, I need some money for something, and there would be $1, and she'd be like, hey, and she just kind of follow it, and Mr. Burns would he would just kind of like walk with this $1 on the end of a fishing line, and then would just get in the car and just drive away. I don't even think he laughed.
just cold.
Yeah, that would have made it funnier if he just did it and he's like, another one for today. It just like goes down.
I still feel nothing.
Yeah. Anyway. What are we talking about? What's our subject?
Oh Jesus, I don't know. We had two that we were going to talk about.
Right.
Which one are we doing?
Shit. Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Evangelion.
Right, because that's been on Netflix recently.
Yeah, that yeah, for those of you who I guess have been under a rock.
Yeah. First of all, how's it under there? Good?
Probably better than what's going on this side.
Cheap? Probably.
Oh yeah.
How are the Fraggles? Like, what's up?
Oh man. Hanging with the Fraggles sounds awesome.
Yeah, that would be a much better life, honestly. You know what? Fuck it. I'm almost 30, new life plan. I'm gonna dig a hole and become a Fraggle.
goddamn right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with this plan.
I think it's good.
Yeah, it comes with a 401k, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
We need to reevaluate our society, or not. Just go underground and live with the Fraggles.
There you go. That's the plan.
That being said, Fraggle aside,
Yeah.
Evangelion. For those of you who have been under said rock, or maybe you're too young to know what Eva is, because that's a thing to remember, is that there are anime fans who don't know what Eva is.
That always weirds me out, because, like,
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot of anime that I would be like, yeah, you know what, I'm not surprised if kids don't remember, like, Rurouni Kenshin or something like that, but,
yeah, or Tenchi Muyo.
Yeah, but Evangelion is one that I would have always put up there with, like, oh, it's Sailor Moon. It's like, it's a pillar of anime.
Well, and I would have been inclined to agree, even in the last couple.
It's definitely not. It's not quite as ubiquitous as Sailor Moon. I mean, Sailor Moon is like the Mickey Mouse of anime, but.
Well, yeah. Well, Sailor Moon is like the closest thing to like the female demographic version of Power Rangers. Like,
yeah.
But Eva, it's still one of those seminal anime up there with fucking Akira or, Ghost in the Shell. Or it's like when people list like the greatest anime of all time, it's usually on there.
It's on that list, if not number one on that list.
Exactly. And I think that's what's so interesting is because, now I remembered, I was saying this recently, I've been saying this a lot recently, I remembered the very instant I felt old. Like, I felt like an adult. Like an adult who's out of touch with the kids. Do you know what that moment was?
What?
Rebekah, my dear friend.
What was that moment? Was it
When
me? Did I do it?
Well, yes, we'll get to that. It was when I was talking to people who were not that much younger than me, but a fair bit younger than me, like maybe in their early 20s.
Okay.
And they would talk about anime that I didn't know what they were talking about.
Oh.
Like, I was like, what the fuck is a black butler? Like, what the fuck is a Sonic? Yeah, so I would talk to them and I'd be like, yeah, what? I don't know what this is. And they're like, oh, it's the new hotness. It's like,
great.
My cousin, so my cousin, who's sadly no longer with us, his wife and daughter, I sort of tried to maintain connections with. I've unfortunately since, kind of fallen out of touch with them, but there was a hot minute there where I was trying to meet up with them whenever they were in Austin, and they would go to stuff like Ushicon or Ikicon or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would go meet up with them, and I'd ask her, because she's like, she's a good, like, 15 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. So I'd ask her, like, well, what's the haps? What's poppin' with the kids? And,
God.
like, have you ever heard of Trigun or Evangelion or this or this or this? Like, these seminal, like, these foundational anime series from when we were kids.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, I've never heard of those.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh my God, well, okay, what is new? And she'd rattle off a bunch of nonsense words. I'm like, I don't know what any of that is. And I'm like, oh no, it's finally happened. I'm fucking old.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately you age. Like that scene in Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Just like...
Yeah, it's like... Ah!
Yeah. Your skin fell off, you became a skeleton and just deteriorated right there.
Oof. Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm looking like I'm saying that as I'm looking at myself like, yeah, that checks out. So, but yeah, Eva.
Yeah, Ava's on Netflix now, so if you haven't seen it, now you finally have a legal way to watch it in the US again. That's fun.
Well, yeah, because for the longest time, wasn't Gainax like really holding on to those rights?
Yeah, you had no way to watch it legally in the States for years, ever since the original dub and the original box set release. There was no way to watch it, because those rights, like that contract, the time went up. They lost it. So if you didn't already get the box set, too bad. They weren't going to reprint it. And then they couldn't get it to stream anywhere because, like, it was all caught up in this huge property dispute with Gainax, partially, or in large part, probably because of the Blu-ray releases in Japan.
Yeah.
Because they released these fucking fantastic Blu-rays of the show in Japan, but if you don't know anything about Japan, a lot of anime makes its money off of merchandise and fucking Blu-rays. Like, Blu-rays here, you can get it for like $40 to $60, depending on how new and in demand it is.
Yeah,
In
or you
Japan,
get it on sale at Right Stuff. I mean, I got like $300 of anime Blu-rays for like maybe $100.
Yeah, like, especially if it's like just a US release, like it's fucking Star Wars or something, you can get it probably pretty cheap.
Yeah.
You know, but in Japan, Blu-rays are like $100 minimum, like, if not more than that, especially if you're getting like a box set or a special edition or some shit like that. Like, they're crazy expensive in Japan.
Gosh, I don't know anything about that. I'm gonna sideways eye the Pacific, like whichever direction the Pacific is, because like literally Godzilla Blu-rays and DVDs can't have more than 1 or 2 special features on them, because then if they have special features that are in any way comparable to the Japanese Blu-rays, the Japanese fans will just import them from America for cheaper.
And why fucking shouldn't they? Like, it's ridiculous, the markup for them in Japan. But that's the exact problem that Ava hit, is that they had these really nice Blu-rays in Japan, but like, it was like $500 for like, what, 3 discs or some shit like that?
Oh, God.
It was something like extortionist. And yeah, they couldn't work out a contract because in America, people were like, there's no way you are never going to get an American to buy this for that kind of money.
You don't have health care, you guys. Like, what do you think we're made of DVDs?
Right? And so, yeah, Gainax was like, well, then we won't let you localize it because we don't want people reverse importing it. It was like, you fucking...
I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Japanese figured out capitalism way better than America ever could.
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
With all of the negative connotations that come with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In like,
I don't mean that
way.
in a positive.
They figured it out the bad way.
Oh, you fucking nerds will spend money on anything, won't you?
Basically. Yeah, you will.
Fucking, you like that? You fucking like that Blu-ray, huh? Like I was at Tokyo Comic-Con and I remembered seeing the Blu-rays. They made a big deal because they were putting out Blu-ray sets of the 90s Ultraman series, which are like really cool seminal series that I've always that are really hard to find here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what?
What?
$300 for each set.
Ooh,
50 episodes each.
Great.
Yep. Good.
Good. So, I don't know how that contract dispute worked with the, like, Evangelion remakes. Because the remakes you get just fucking fine. Like, I found them at goddamn Fry's for $50. So I don't know if it's like a different contract with that. I don't know. But the original series was caught up in a weird dispute for a long time. But hey.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing that everybody wanted. And that was the thing that was in demand. I bet that was part of it.
Yeah. Possibly.
I mean, who knows? Who fucking knows? But now it's on Netflix.
Hey, go watch it on Netflix. Yay.
So now we have all these people, these are younger people who are watching it for the first time. Guess what us older people are doing?
What? Being mad?
That's just like...
I mean, unrelated to Evangelion, just like in general. Being mad, probably.
No, well, yeah, I was gonna say we're rediscovering it and rewatching it.
Yeah. Which I have not rewatched it.
Right, neither have I. I've watched a little bit of it.
Partially because, like, the thing I'll always say is that Evangelion's one of my favorite shows that I can never watch.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's just because, like, man, it's a heavy fucking show, especially if you have, like, depression and shit. So,
Oh yeah. I mean,
you
I feel
know.
the same way about the original Godzilla. Like, it's one of those movies where I can't really just sit down and watch it because it's kind of rough.
But, I'm also one of the lucky people that does have the original box set. So, if I wanted to rewatch it, I would have already been rewatching it.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't really need Netflix. But, yeah, I've heard some mixed reviews in terms of the new translation.
Ooh, yeah. I watched a little bit of it with the new dub.
Mhm.
I mean, there's new subs too, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
But on the I feel like there's I feel like I know I'm gonna be kicking a hornet's nest here, but in some cases I like the new translation a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But the new dub it's a rush job. It's a rush job like where they're just trying to do a one-to-one translation with the actual spoken Japanese, and as a result you get kind of awkward, stilted dialogue.
Right.
So you're
Which,
like, yeah.
again, I haven't watched the new one, so I don't know. From what I remember, like the original dub, it's not a standout fucking performance. It's not like most things. It's not fucking Cowboy Bebop, but like in terms of dubs from the goddamn 90s and 2000s,
Uh,
not the worst that I've ever fucking heard. Like it's fine, you know?
I actually have a pretty big soft spot for that dub.
I mean, I do too. Like I'm just saying objectively speaking, it's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
It doesn't do anything offensive. And part of it also depends on the character. Some characters are really fucking strong. Others, you know,
Yeah, it's
depends
like,
on the actual voice actor.
who's the guy who's the what's his name? Who's the guy that punched Shinji?
Toji,
Toji. It's like, yeah, Toji.
that
Him
guy.
and that guy, that guy.
Like,
He's
he's
just
okay.
like,
He's fine.
he's
He's
fine.
fine.
Um,
It's definitely like I think they might have hired this voice actor before they realized Toji was going to play a larger role in the show, but that's fine.
he's not just your dumbass doofy friend. He's actually
Mhm.
like a pretty goddamn major character at a certain point.
Yeah, for at least
Um,
like a couple episodes, you know.
yeah. Well, he's a crux for Shinji in a
Yeah.
lot of ways.
Uh huh.
He sort of gets some of the projection of the rest of the show. You guys fucking read Hero with a Thousand Faces. God damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, but the thing that I think a lot of people are really kind of up in arms about is the translation of Kaoru's sentiments towards Shinji in those last few episodes.
Yeah, that was the thing that I heard most of like the loudest criticism over. And I'll be honest, like I can kind of agree with that criticism. Like
You see it as some sort of a gay erasure thing.
yeah,
Hmm.
you know. And it's I don't know, cuz I part of the problem is that it was some people are saying like, well, in the original Japanese translation, it was a little ambiguous and I was like, yeah, I get that. But the thing that they translated was in no way ambiguous. Like it wasn't even a maybe he likes him. It was just a nope, not gay here. Not even almost.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that. I guess for me, I always saw it as well. Even the ambiguity of it, I don't want to, and I'm not gonna devil's advocate this because I feel like of all the hills to die on, I don't know if this is the one to. I don't know, guys. I don't know if this is the hill you guys really want to die on. But I understand the frustration in it because it was to a large group of people. It really was kind of this seminal moment. Like a lot of them had never really seen something like this in a popular animated show.
Yeah, and it meant like a lot to a lot of people. And I think it also is kind of important to Shinji's character, where it's like, literally every person in his life has either let him down or in some way used him. Even the people that care about him, like I would posit that Misato genuinely loves and cares for Shinji, but she is also using him. It is her job, you know?
Right.
Whereas, like, Kaoru was the one first character to come in and completely selflessly, you know, love Shinji. And whether you want to interpret that as platonic love or romantic love, like, that's an important line. And it's especially important because later, in either that episode or the next one, Shinji says he was the first person who said he loved me. And it's like, that's a seminal moment, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's kind of offensive enough to feel like it's erasing a gay character in a gay relationship, but it's also erasing character narrative, you know?
Sure. I mean,
it also happened during Pride Month, which is like not a good look.
Not a good look. Guys, can we not? Yeah, I think that if it had happened in a vacuum, I think I would lean a little harder into the like, well, it's ambiguous, and if it was just kind of some random show, if it wasn't Ava,
yeah,
I would be more like, oh well, it's not what is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more.
Yeah.
I would more just be like, well, what does love mean to an angel?
Yeah.
And to this life form that's ostensibly not human.
I mean, and here's the thing. Those discussions were already happening when the line was explicitly, I love you.
Right.
Like, you know, the line was explicitly, I love you, and people were still debating, like, well, what does that mean? Does it mean romantically? Because it never gets discussed beyond that. Does it mean like, there's still some bit of ambiguity and some bit of, like, meta-narrative that you can dig into there. You know, It can still be ambiguous.
Right. No. That's, and I think that's all. I think that is all very interesting. A very interesting discussion to have. And I know that the guy who did the translations caught some pretty serious heat too.
Yeah, and that's not okay. Like, I don't think it's cool to dogpile on someone like that, especially like he was doing his job.
Right, like it was his job to make a new translation, and whether or not, and he may just not have, it may be pretty innocent. He may just be like, well, you know, that's just not how, because the thing about translation, especially for a language like Japanese, it's pretty goddamn subjective sometimes.
It's very hard because languages are not one-to-one. Like,
no.
It is not every word has a perfect and proper translation. Like, languages have words that do not exist in other languages. They have concepts that do not exist in other languages. It is very hard to perfectly translate that. And a lot of times it does come down to, a choice on, like, how the translator thinks it is supposed to be interpreted and the context of what the show itself is saying, you know?
Yeah, like,
I mean, even like diminutives and terms of, you know, like the in Japanese, the like san, chan, things like that. Like, we don't have that shit.
Right. It usually it's usually in dubs anyway, or even in subtitles. They won't bother translating. Like, they won't bother translating the honorifics, or they'll sometimes get translated as san. San will be translated as Mr. or Miss or Mrs. And that's just not really what it is.
I mean, fucking Atlas with the Persona series said, fuck it. We'll just include the honorifics. They know it's in Japan. You're playing Persona, you goddamn nerd. You know what an honorific is. So yeah, it's like, they just say that stuff in English because there is no translation. So yeah.
I do remember that. I remember seeing that in the little bits in the bits we played for Rage Select, and I remember being like, but the thing is, I don't even bat an eye, because I grew up, and you and I both did, when when that was, we were all essentially learning basic Japanese because we were downloading bootleg episodes of fan subs of shows. And then, of course, shit got off the rails when everything started going according to Keikaku.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Damn it.
So, yeah, it's an interesting time. And I don't know. But as for the show itself, I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, where do we go from here? Because, have you seen the movies?
I have seen like the first 2 of the remake movies. I have all 3 of them. I'm a bad person and haven't actually sat down and watched the 3rd one. Apparently,
Sure.
like a very short teaser for the final one finally came out.
Yeah, I watched it. And I gotta say, without giving too much away, it's one of those things where I'll be watching it. I'm watching this thing, and I'm just like, there's so much happening, like visually. There's just all these weird, like, just patterns and things, like stuff that's moving in a certain way, or it's been reconceptualized in a certain way, and just the basics of what's happening on screen are so goddamn weird, but in this really creative way. And it's one of those things that kind of made me frustrated, where I was like, I want to make something like this, you know? Like, I want to...
God damn it, stop being so cool.
Yeah,
I hate
exactly.
you.
Like, I'm not going to give too much away, but I will say there is a moment where I was like, oh, those are battleships.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. But it's like, but when you realize that it's just this thing that you didn't even realize what it was, you're like, oh, 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 that's what that is. You're like, and in a way, you're kind of, as a creative person who like works in comics and stuff, you start just kind of screaming.
Yeah. You're like, you clever goddamn bastards. Look at you. Look at
And
you being fucking artists, being smart.
yeah. Look at you being a fucking artist. You think you're better than me?
It's true, but shut up about it.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been okay. For those who don't know, the Evangelion is sort of touted as the brainchild of Hideaki Anno. In a lot of ways, it is. I mean, nothing is made in a vacuum, of course. You know, he's working with. I don't think Anno himself is actually an artist per se.
I think he is. I think he was an animator.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess I'm
pretty sure he was. But I mean, that's the thing with the whole, like, what is it called? I blanked on the term, but basically when you hold up like a single creator as like the brainchild of something,
right.
It's like, yeah, someone might spearhead something and be kind of like the leading drive behind something, but yeah, nothing on that scale is made by a single person. Like, these are team efforts.
There's concept artists, and there's there's a lot happening on the other side of the curtain.
Yeah.
And
you actually see it come to fruition a lot in anime, because that is such a small market that you'll be like, well, this show is made, and then an animator from this show directed this show, and then an animator from that show directed this show. So like, you see all these people kind of like grow and branch out of it to do their own thing.
Yeah. And I helped. Yeah, exactly. And it is very interesting to look at, because Eva itself is, it's so interesting to look at people kind of reacting to Eva and the reactions they're having to it now. Like, that was something I was sort of alluding to earlier, but like I was talking to Jeff from Rage Select about Ava. Like he and I did the last 2 recording sessions between recording episodes, yelling at each other about Ava, and the thing is that he's realizing things that I have known, not to toot my own horn, that I've known for a really long time, because like Ano, I'm a fan of tokusatsu and kaiju.
Yeah.
And that show is dripping with tropes from that, and not just that, but mecha series in general.
Which is largely what it's deconstructing.
Right, it's deconstructing the tropes of that, but all of this stuff that a lot of us when we were first watching it, a lot of people thought was just kind of like, oh, that's weird and cool. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that kind of goes over our heads.
We didn't have the entire cultural context.
Yeah, exactly. And then
it would be like watching Utena if you've never seen Sailor Moon, where it's like, it's cool. You don't quite get what it's like pointing at and being like, yeah,
you fucking nerds like this.
That's fucked up, right?
Yeah. Ain't that fucked up?
Ain't that fucked up? That's why I always get so frustrated when I see these things on the internet and Tumblr and shit that are like, oh, why was anime in the 90s so much better? We had like Sailor Moon and Evangelion and Utena, and I'm like, you dumb motherfuckers.
Like, you dumb bastard.
It's almost always Ava. Like, it's always like, Ava's so good. Look at everything it does. Like, why was anime back then so much better? And I was like, it wasn't, because Evangelion is specifically making fun of it.
Exactly. And that's something that I would talk to people about a lot, which is oops, shit. Sorry, I messed something up.
No.
Well, that's something that I would talk to people about even in the early 2000s, when the market really got saturated.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, like, anime's all bad now and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd have to gently remind them that no, it's not all bad now. It's just we're getting fucking everything, and it's not like the cream of the crop where it was like
there's no quality filter anymore. You have access to all of it.
Right.
Whereas back then, some shit would slip by. Some people would definitely just be like, fucking I don't care, publish it. But like mostly you'd be getting the things that like, yeah, it is the cream of the crop. It's the thing that rose above the rest. That's why you got Cowboy Bebop and Evangelion and Sailor Moon and all these really big popular names. I can guarantee you there's a lot of shit from the 90s that has just gone forgotten.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's not even necessarily bad stuff. It's just stuff that just didn't really resonate. And some of it was even brought over here. Like, you've got stuff like...
It's whatever will fill a TV slot, Yeah.
And of course, it really was... And even in the Toonami days, they were still, like, really playing it close to the chest with what they brought over.
Yeah.
Because the companies wanted to get fucking paid. I mean, one of the things that's kept Ultraman from getting wide distribution here in the States for a really long time was, I mean, here's the thing, is that a lot of people in America, Ultraman's this really very niche thing that not a lot of people really know about.
Yeah.
They knew about it back in the 60s, but not really anymore. But it's really well known in China and Brazil and Singapore and Thailand and Malaysia and parts of Europe, and it's really, really popular in those parts of the world that aren't America.
Yeah.
So when a company approaches Tsuburaya to say, hey, we really want to bring Ultraman, this new Ultraman thing you have, out in the States, Tsuburaya is like, okay, pay us X number of dollars and give us theatrical distribution and pay for theatrical rights and television rights, and you'll need like this much of a contract, yada yada yada. And of course everyone is like, are you high?
Yeah.
Like,
never mind. I will take my dollars elsewhere.
Yeah. So that's another thing, is like a lot of Japanese companies, they sometimes rely on American dollars, but not all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. But yeah, so but like there was something else about Ava. Oh yeah. Another thing that people tend to keep saying as like a meme, and I'm like like, I get it, guys, but stop, is getting the goddamn robot, Shinji.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is
I mean,
like,
that's a fucking old...
people were saying that back when...
Yeah, when the show was new.
Yeah.
That is an old, vintage meme right there.
Yeah, that meme, careful with that meme, it's an antique.
I did see one
Uh-huh.
funny post about it where somebody was like, I've spent all these years seeing the meme about Shinji getting in the fucking robot. He got in the robot in the first 20 minutes. You goddamn fuckers lied to me.
That's awesome.
And I was like, touche.
Yeah. Well, more power to you, random person.
I was like,
And I love you, random citizen. That exactly. And but the thing is that I feel like people would use that meme to kind of justify a way to kind of knock the show off its high horse.
Oh yeah.
Where they're like, well, the show should be about the robots. Well, they're not robots, they're biomechs, but the show should be about these kind of knockoff Ultramen fighting these weird abstract kaiju, and then like, what's all this bullshit about feelings?
Yeah,
you know?
gross.
Yeah, take your feelings and shove them up your ass.
Like, if you want a show that's just like giant robot creatures fighting giant alien creatures, just go watch one of 50 other shows that's just that.
Yeah.
Like,
you're literally spoiled for choice when it comes to this genre.
yeah, they're available to you.
Like, I mean, they're available now. I mean, goddamn, it took forever for them to put Gao Gaigar out over here. and that is considered like, actually, are you at all familiar with Gao Gaigar?
No.
Well,
have I disappointed you?
Still be friends, I guess. No, okay. I don't think it would really be your bag. Although maybe it would be. I don't know. But
don't know. You don't know me.
It was. I don't know. Fucking come at me. As I understand it, it actually was created as an answer to Evangelion.
Interesting.
But it was made in that old style super robot kind of thing. It was, there's like the pilot of the robot, and he's kind of it's a big ensemble cast of characters with this organization that's trying to, this organization with a giant combining robots that are trying to fight these sort of monsters that are created by these shadowy kind of Power Rangers-y villains. Yeah. And the pilot of the robot's also kind of a cyborg superhero. And there's a precocious Japanese boy who's like the power source for the thing.
Of course, like a little battery.
Well, yeah, and he's literally got the same origin as Superman / I guess Goku, but mostly Superman. And it's a very like, we're going to save the world through our gumption and our friendship. And the theme song for the show is literally ga 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 ga.
Great.
Yeah.
How long did it take him to write?
And of course,
one cocaine-fueled hour. That's it.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, of course, it's like, oh man, oh damn it, like, there's a lot of cleavage bouncing around, but it's this kind of PG-13 cleavage, and it's just, yeah, it's like, and of course, the little kid, the little boy, his name is Mamoru, which means to protect. So, and it's like they keep using that in the theme song. It's that kind of show.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, go watch Gao Gaigar if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Because it is it's a good show. It's a fun show, but that's not what Eva is.
Yeah. Well,
Ava is about. Go ahead.
Well, I was saying it's literally what we were talking about just the other day. That I was like, for a show that's all about giant robot creatures and like the apocalypse and alien invasion shit, it's not about any of that. Like, not really. Like that is the vehicle with which it tells its story and what it deconstructs, but
right.
Thematically, it's not about that.
Well, yeah, and that's interesting because I brought up that same thing to Jeff, and we were talking about the final episodes of the series, which, spoilers, Gainax ran out of money.
Yeah.
So the series didn't really have what one would consider a proper ending.
Yeah. Which, just putting this out there, if I remember correctly, not on the fault of Gainax.
Right. It was something
I want to say what happened is that show was being created and aired when the subway.
Oh, the sarin gas attacks?
The sarin gas attacks from the, oh god, what the fuck is the name of that cult?
I know what you're talking about. Oh shit, because it also affected the airing of Choriki Sentai O-Ranger. They had to pivot mid-season, and it wound up fucking up their whole thing.
Yeah, it messed up quite a few things.
Was it like Onshin Rikyo? Is that it?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it was the most well-known death cult in Japan, and they did a giant sarin gas attack in the subway system that killed people.
Yeah, no bueno, guys.
No
bueno.
And Evangelion, I believe they had to scrap a couple episodes because they were like, oh, this is too close to like what literally just happened.
Fascinating. See, I didn't know about that. I didn't know that it happened at that moment in history. But I guess 1996, that would line up.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that is what happened, is that it messed up their schedule because something had to be redone. And so, it killed the budget. So it wasn't like shitty mismanagement, though there was a lot of that in the anime industry.
Right.
It was affected by that.
Sure. And so, as a result, those final episodes of Eva kind of like, okay, and you and I did talk about this, about how...
They're on a budget.
They were on a budget, so it kind of became Anno literally screaming into the void about what the show is about. Mm-hmm. And mileage has varied for a lot of people over the years. And yet
people still don't get it sometimes.
No, like, even I don't care for it at all. I think for me personally, it is like very nakedly, we ran out of money, here's what the show is about, because this is all we could do. Yeah. But whether or not it's good or interesting, I think your mileage will vary. Mm-hmm. Because you and I were talking about that, and you were very kind of adamantly like, no, this is what the show is about, therefore, like, it works. Is that accurate?
I think thematically, and I think there's someone else put it well, that they're like, if you like Shinji and you want him to succeed, then the show ending is for you. And if you don't like Shinji and you're more like, fuck everything, then the movie is for you.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like, I don't know. I guess you could say the movie is also thematically tied. I guess as much as I like the movie, I'm just not as much of a fan of the like everything is awful kind of mentality and ending. You know?
Yeah. I get that, but I actually, so spiraling off of that conversation I had with Jeff, he told me some shit that I was like some shit about Ava, like about like what the angels are.
Yeah.
And
My biggest thing, just real quick, is that
Yeah,
my biggest
sorry.
thing is I was defending the idea that the show ending is just bullshit. Because that's
Right.
what you hear a lot, is that, oh, they ran out of money, it's bullshit, it doesn't mean anything. And I'm like, no, it does. Like, it is thematically tied to the show. They just had to say it in a way that fit the scraps of budget they had left. It's not
Sure.
meaningless.
Oh no, like I never thought it was meaningless. I've always been like, okay, like it's like, okay, this, yeah, you, like you said, you said it. You said it is exactly what you said, which is that they just don't.
And I'm defending against the mentality that I've seen previously where people are like, you can just skip the last 2 episodes and go straight to the movie. And I'm like, no, you can't. No.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think that the last 2 episodes, I think are a little too fascinating from a postmodern existentialist perspective. Which, if you want an interesting deep dive into Ava that I don't 100% agree with, but I think raises some really interesting points, the old Yezu Otaku Ava review is really interesting because, she's not Hope anymore. She transitioned fairly recently, and I don't know his new name, but that review, I have to dance around my pronouns like a white guy. That review I think is really fascinating because it really deep dives into the whole thing about postmodern existentialism, even though Jeizo Otaku makes some, I would say, borderline accusations of Anno that I think are a little off base. Like, really, he really did not like the finale of the Kaoru episode, like that bit.
Okay.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Like, I mean, spoilers. It's like a solid minute of Shinji and Kaoru.
Just that still
That
frame?
still image, yeah, with that music playing.
Yeah, that's a fucking hard scene. I mean, my feelings is that, like, I don't know. It's just it's a fucking hard scene to watch. I don't have negative feelings towards it. I don't like. I would be one of the people who sit and defend some of the instances in Evangelion where they just hold a frame for an uncomfortably long time. Like,
yeah,
I don't agree with people who are like, that's just their budget, and I'm like, no, it's making you think. Try it.
You've got to marinate in it.
Yeah, like
that's something that, yeah, I definitely. There's a lot of stuff, like, of course, Anno also directed Shin Godzilla. You saw Shin Godzilla. Yeah, we watched Shin Godzilla, didn't we?
He took me to see it.
Yeah, I took you. Yeah.
Which is in large part why it's taken so long for the final of the remake movies to come out.
Right, because he shifted gears to go do Godzilla. Because and he even said it himself. He was like, he had always wanted to make a Godzilla movie, and he worked with Shinji Higuchi on the special effects, and Higuchi was, of course, the storyboard artist on Ava when it originally came out, and he was the special effects director on the 90s Gamera trilogy, and he was of course, he did the effects for Shin Godzilla, and he also directed those live-action Attack on Titan movies.
Oh, okay.
Which everybody kind of shits on those movies for simply not being like the show.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I think they're perfectly entertaining movies. They just it's a very Spielbergian reshuffling of the lore in order to make it work in the context of a film narrative without like blowing the secrets of the actual show.
Yeah. I think right now we're also starting to get into a time where live action Japanese media is starting to become a little bit more popular, even just among the regular anime fans. Because for a while, like, yeah, you might know some of the big names, like you'd know Godzilla, but like live action Japanese stuff was still pretty niche, even among people who liked anime. It was not like a one and the same thing.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. Like it's one of the reasons why I don't really do anime conventions, is because guess what? Anime fans don't give a shit about kaiju movies.
Yeah. Though I feel like we are getting to a point where the two things are starting to meet a little more. More live action stuff is starting to make its way over here.
Yeah.
But Attack on Titan really hit at that spot where it was starting to get more popular, but not to the point where people kind of understood it yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it got some unfair flack just because it was popular enough to make it over here, but people who were not familiar with like Japanese live action movies, specifically ones based on pre-existing animes, like they didn't understand the workings of that industry.
Right, like of course a bunch of them were I remember a bunch of people complaining that well, but in the anime there's only like one Asian character and it's Mikasa. Why are they all played by Japanese people? It's like I'm gonna
still a very closed off country.
They don't really have / won't really cast a whole lot of foreigners in these roles.
Yeah.
But but on the subject of Shin Godzilla, like it's because when Anno like where was I going with this? Because I made a point. I was making a point about the connection between Shin Godzilla and Eva. Although, trust me, we're gonna talk about the Universal Studios ride.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, did you see that video?
No.
Oh, charlatan.
We were talking about how Ava makes you just stare at like a single frame for a long time, just like holds on it sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and it's that idea of kind of marinating in a style. That Anno really does that a lot. He really likes to he's like, this is the point of this scene or this direction or this choice that I've made. Now you sit in it.
It makes you sit in an emotion.
Yeah.
Even if that emotion is discomfort, like it makes you digest it. And like Utena does the same thing. And like I'm a huge fan of it when it's done well, because it can really like hammer home, this is the point, this is the feeling you need to feel. Fucking feel it. You know?
Yeah, and in Shin Godzilla, it's very much, and this is something that was lost in a lot of American audiences. There are just long scenes of conference room meetings.
Yeah.
And people would poo-poo that, especially Americans would poo-poo that because they were like, well, it's just so boring. It's so boring. Would you just see conferences? There's like it's another conference? That's boring. And it's like, that's the point.
That's the point. It's they're all just measuring dicks while something is destroying the city. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's marinating in a style, and it's marinating in creating an emotional reaction from the audience.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, not everyone's going to respond that way.
No. I mean, that's the thing, is that like your read of Evangelion is going, your mileage is going to vary. Your read on it is going to depend heavily on your stylistic preferences, your life experiences, like a lot of things. And ultimately, that's what good art should do. Like,
yeah,
good art should make you have debates. It should make you sit and think about things. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I've been having that argument with people a lot, especially recently. This idea that art, like, not all art has to make you think, but not all art shouldn't have to make you think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I very recently had a big dust up with some people on Facebook who were like, you shouldn't even talk about politics.
Okay.
And it's like, you should just post Godzilla art. And it's like, hey, you know what was been political since day one?
I wonder. What could it be?
But anyway, but boomeranging back around to this conversation that Jeff and I were having, God, this. He told me this stuff about the angels and about what third impact was and all this stuff, and I was like, what? Because apparently none of it is ever on screen at any point. None of it is said in the series or the movies or anything. Like what the angels actually are and what any of this shit is. Anno knows what it is. Like that's the thing when people are always like, "Oh, like Ava doesn't make any sense." It's like, no, it all makes sense. He's just not telling you.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know vague things. It's been like a fucking hot minute since I've gone down the Evangelion hole.
Yeah.
What exactly are you talking about?
You want me to dive in? You just want me to get into this?
Just do it.
Get down in the pig. You gotta get in the lasagna and get deep in the pan.
I mean, it's probably a little late now, but spoilers? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
y'all clicked on this episode.
This may This may actually enhance your viewing of the series.
There you go.
So apparently, and this is all on the wiki. And it's pieced together from like Evangelion games that Anno worked on.
Interesting.
And like magazine articles and interviews and stuff, and people have just kind of pieced it together. Like a real life Dark Souls. So in the beginning, there actually was this celestial race of like these progenitor super beings, and they got some kind of an acronym that they're referred to. But they're like these super beings from the Milky Way galaxy, and they essentially had to leave their corporeal forms because their world was dying or something. And so they sent out into the universe the seeds of life. And those seeds take one of two forms, either a black moon or a white moon. Are you with me? Uh-huh.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, no two moons can be on the same planet at the same time. Either it'll be a black moon or a white moon. Now, originally, Earth was just supposed to have, as I understand it, and I could be getting some of the details wrong, but Earth was supposed to have a white moon, and it was supposed to be the domain of this one type of life form that are the angels. They're essentially beings of pure power. Like, they can take any form they want, and they're just infinitely powerful.
Yeah.
Go away. My dog has been running up and down the stairs. I don't know what she wants.
Horse.
Yes, she's a good horse, but she's also an idiot. And then there's they're called something, but anyway, and then there's the other side of things, which are clever beings, which are Lilin, which are humans, creatures that are clever, creatures that can think and do stuff. Now, unfortunately, just through pure happenstance, a black moon and a white moon arrive at the same planet, which are Adam and Lilith. Yeah, they're the seeds. And of course, so essentially the angels are trying to get to Lilith in the course of the series because Earth technically belongs to them, and they're trying to get rid of humanity, get rid of this infestation of we're the mistake. And the angels are trying to correct that mistake.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's this whole thing about how, like, Ava Unit 1 is the only Ava that's actually cloned from Lilith as opposed to Adam. And all this other shit. But that's like the long of the short of it, is like it's this like war of beings that are polar opposites of each other. And it's like, once you know that, you're kind of like, oh, what the shit suddenly kind of makes sense. Like, am I making sense?
I don't know. I guess I never personally thought that Ava didn't make too much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I never thought it was like, I don't know. And maybe that's because I was more invested in the emotional meta-narrative of it.
Right.
So, like, all the stuff about the angels and the Avas and stuff, I was like, okay, like...
That's neat.
It doesn't... Like, I guess it never bothered me. I never really noticed there was, like, a weird plot hole or something, because I was like, this is the vehicle. It doesn't matter that much. You know?
Yeah.
Not to say it doesn't matter, but it's like...
Well, it's not the point of the story.
Yeah.
And
so...
yeah. And I feel like therein lies the...
So I can kind of understand why Ono probably wouldn't have put that on screen, because it's like, well... Does it actually enhance the emotional narrative of the story?
Yeah, like, does Shinji knowing this stuff actually matter to him and his... Because the core conceit of the story, and I've been a big fan of the fact that a story needs to... you need to be able to boil down your story into, like, your... the best stories are boiled down into an elevator pitch.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, know your themes, and then what you include should probably enhance those themes.
Right, and that's something that eludes a lot of people, especially people who, like, I have an idea for an anime, and it's like, I'm sure you do.
It's like, it's the reason that the Silmarillion exists, and none of that shit actually made it into the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like, is it really important that you know hundreds of generations of fucking elves to know the story of Lord of the Rings? No, because that story is about Frodo and, like, his group of companions.
Right, his friends.
Yeah, if you want to dig deeper into that, that's cool. Go read the Silmarillion, but, like, does it enhance the themes of that story?
Right. No. That is fascinating to me, because I mean, and then within that subject of, like, what's Ava about? Mm-hmm. It's a giant robot mecha anime, but the core conceit is a pilot who your hero character is not only does not want to do this, mm-hmm. He's not only wildly unqualified and mm-hmm. has no training, he's just the only reason the reason why he's the hero is a total fluke. Yeah. Is just like, it's just by circumstance. Yeah. And the question of whether or not he rises to the occasion is tempered by the fact that he's a fucked up teenage boy who can't even he can't form connections with people because he's all fucked up.
Yeah. Like, it's almost spitting in the face of, like, the classic young strapping hero character who is just made for the job, and he is, like, the chosen one. It's like no, this kid doesn't want the job. No one in his life has prepared him for it. Mm-hmm. They've just thrown him into it. He doesn't want it. He's not good at it. He does it because he is, like, emotionally damaged, and this is the only way he can get any positive reinforcement for people. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, that's who this would be. Like, right. They would not be well-adjusted people in this world, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I think so interesting is that the person who wants to be the pilot is Asuka, and guess who's a fucked up narcissistic bitch?
Yeah, it's like, I had people, because I've defended Shinji to a lot of people because I really like Shinji.
Right. What did you call it? The Lonely Bitch Club?
Yeah, it's like, if you like Shinji, you belong to the Lonely Bitch Club.
Oh, man. So true.
Welcome, here's your card.
Here's your card and your chair and your empty room.
Yeah. Go be a sad boy.
But yeah.
But I defended him a lot, and people being like, well, he's like whiny and annoying. I was like, oh, so he's a 14-year-old? Okay. Oh, so he's a 14-year-old who's been abandoned his whole life. Okay, like, yeah. What do you think he would be? I was like, he's a kid trying to do his best in an impossible situation.
Oh yeah.
And then they're like, well, Asuka has a fucked up childhood, and she's not like that. I was like, yeah, because she's doing so well. Like, she's doing great.
God damn. So you've actually talked to people who have defended Asuka?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about missing the fucking point.
Yeah, it's like, she's not doing well. Just because she is brash and, like, outspoken does not mean she is okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, her whole thing is that she's a kind of a lunatic, and but that's just it. They took this anime trope and they turned it on its head.
Yeah, they cranked it up to 11.
Right. Well, that's more accurate. They completely fucked it up.
But it's like, because she kind of embodies, and it's definitely much more of a concrete trope these days, but it kind of was back then, of the kind of like the tsundere trope.
Right.
But it's kind of like, what kind of person would actually be like that? What kind of person would actually be such an asshole to somebody that they like? Like, not a well person. That's who.
Yeah, and that's what's so fascinating, because and I feel like in a lot of ways Ava has kind of ruined me. Like, okay, for example, because it forces you to think about shit, and it's a lot of media would really rather you not think too hard about it, and God knows, a lot of my favorite shows and favorite movies and stuff are movies you don't think that hard about.
Yeah.
Because that's not the point. That's not the point.
It's what my mom calls a popcorn movie.
Oh.
It's a movie you go and you watch and you eat some popcorn. It's fun.
Yeah, you have a good time with your friends. So I have a manga that I got these nice folks at Crossover Osaka gave me when I had a little we had a little event over there last November. Mm-hmm. And because I saw it's a really cool little bar. It's mostly American comics themed, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
But then you crack it open, you get in there, and there's
all up in there.
Yeah, all up in there. And I remember I spotted on the shelf, because they have all these comics. They have some manga too, and I saw there was a manga that I've been looking for called Machine Zarer or Machine Saurus.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's it about?
A political intrigue in France, circa 1974.
Interesting.
No. It's an old Go Nagai manga, which is, Go Nagai, he created Mazinger Z and Getter Robo and all that crap. I shouldn't say crap. He's a seminal manga artist, and but very much the kind of blood, guts, and boobs and robots kind of guy.
Yeah.
He also created Cutie Honey, which I have a big soft spot for Cutie Honey. Especially Cutie Honey.
Cutie Honey's got its fair amount of boobs, so it's like on brand.
Oh yeah. But Machine Sarer was sort of a bit of a footnote. It didn't really catch on, but it's essentially about. Okay, now I'm going to describe you the story, and you're going to probably think about it, and you're going to think about it the same way I thought about it, which is with your Ava brain.
Mm-hmm.
So.
The bad one.
Yeah. So there's this young man whose father works for this organization that's ostensibly trying to protect the world. They invented a time machine that went back in time and plucked out of the Cretaceous period a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh, that won't ruin anything.
No.
Oh.
And then they took that Tyrannosaurus Rex and turned it into a cyborg super weapon.
Great.
And then they're like, hello, my son, you will pilot this cyborg Tyrannosaurus Rex that had no choice in the matter, and you're gonna fight an invading army of space dinosaurs.
Good. Terrific.
And Machine Star kind of has a mind of its own, like, kind of. And it sometimes does
implications.
Yeah, and it sometimes does like stuff where it'll like protect the kid or move on its own. And it feels like it's ignoring the fact that this thing was a living creature, you know?
Yeah.
So like this just kind of high level concept, it's just, yeah, like it's been ruined for me because of Ava.
Because all you can think of is like, Ava did something similar. Didn't go great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not good.
I'm sure, I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty sure Gona Guy probably is like, it was all right. I don't know. I wouldn't know. Did you ever watch Anno's student film he made, his live action student film that he made?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's on YouTube. It's the Return of Ultraman. It's his Ultraman fan film. Guess who plays Ultraman?
Who plays Ultraman?
Anno plays Ultraman.
Of course.
Do you know how he does it?
How?
Puts on a jacket.
Good.
So
Nailed it.
He's just jumping around a miniature set, punching a monster, and it's this nerdy, like, 22-year-old Hideaki Anno punching a rubber suit monster and getting thrown into buildings.
I mean, he's only about $100 budget away from the real thing.
I mean, you're not wrong. It actually is pretty impressive. It's impressively done.
I mean, there's a reason all those studios still use that exact technique.
Oh yeah.
You know.
That being said, that Universal Studios ride though.
This is which one?
This is the Godzilla versus Evangelion.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'll have to send it to you to see it. There's a video of it online. It's really blurry though because it's supposed to be in quote unquote 4D.
Oh yeah. So it's like if you don't have the glasses on, it's just like, well, cool.
Yeah, there's a person's head in front of the screen for most of the thing.
That's getting theme park rides.
Yep. But you get the general gist of what's going on, and I'm looking at this thing and I'm wondering. So, it's like you again. We're talking about this. We're talking about Ava, you know, and how like its themes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's about depression, and it's about dealing with bullshit, and it's about fucked up.
Connecting with people is hard.
Connecting with people is hard.
Sucks.
And the robots and stuff are sort of a vehicle for all that. You want to go to Universal Studios and watch these damaged teenagers team up with a giant lizard to fight a golden space dragon?
I mean, yes. Yeah, I do. I do want that.
I do.
I do. Man, you know what I really want?
What's that?
I want those goddamn popcorn buckets.
I've been trying to get a hold of them, and they're hard to get a hold of.
Expensive. Yeah,
they're expensive and they're hard to get a hold of.
Super limited. Like they're limited special edition. If you get them online, they're an import eBay seller. Like, God, I want them though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Go to Universal Japan.
I mean, I went back in 2016.
Oh, you did.
Yeah. And what's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I got snuck in through the back because I got a friend who works there. And it's pretty neat.
We should plan a trip. Let's plan a trip to go to like Disney Tokyo and Universal's Tokyo.
Yeah, because you went to Disney Tokyo yourself, right?
Yeah, I went to both parks there, but it was only for a day each, which is like not enough.
Fucking kill me.
Yeah.
Kill me so I can haunt I can haunt this place.
Yeah, just live here. I mean, live is a strong word, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, is there anything else that we wanna I sort of yammered a lot there towards the end. Is there anything you wanted to talk about or
I don't know. I guess final bullet points is just like I feel like I have a new appreciation of the show as an adult, just because like, especially because we were talking about Misato the other day, that I was like, what a fucking like relatable character as a millennial adult.
Oh
Just
yeah.
like I am being an adult by force because I have no other choice and I'm not doing well at it. But maybe neither is anyone else. I don't know.
I love that so much. Like I'm being an adult by force that's a mood.
That's it.
That's what the kids say, right? It's a mood.
Yep, it's a mood. Yep, with a capital
Oh,
M.
oh man. Yeah, I agree. It is absolutely one of those shows that you reevaluate as you get older and you're like, that is
Uh-huh.
I feel like I'm quoting Peter Griffin from that episode of Family Guy where he's like, "Oh, that's what that is." Um, he's talking about like the diplomat from Iran who doesn't shower. Why don't anybody sit with you? I don't shower. Oh, that's what that is.
Oh god.
Um, I oh, it's just it's so good.
Uh,
Yeah.
hey, that segues us into what we're probably going to talk about next time.
Yeah, what's that?
It's Universal rides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about being disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're going to talk about Jurassic World. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lemons.
Yeah, dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Kinda.
Yeah. Well,
Kinda.
like two or three.
Kinda dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Kinda source. You
They're
know. Okay? Jesus. On that note,
I'm fine.
everything's fine.
Just being an adult by force over here.
Yep. So,
All right, thanks guys.
Thank you for listening. Hopefully this was entertaining. We'll get back to recording Zelda eventually.
Well, next is Ocarina.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna do that.
It's gonna be fun. Hopefully I will get the 3DS version working. If not, it'll be old school one, but we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. We'll see how technology handles that.
With beautiful graphics at the top.
Look at those square heads. Damn, bitch, you got 4 polygons?
Man, I'm gonna probably cut everything on your boobs.
Yeah.
They are pointy.
Still worth it.
Damn, Impa. All right. Bye.
Bye.